All right, so we ended the previous lecture talking about how to figure out the number of heifer calves that we have to sell, in addition to the number of heiferettes that we have to sell. And so we determined that there were 15 heiferettes that just didn't get pregnant or they didn't wean a calf. They weighed approximately 900 pounds and were worth $1.12 a pound, given the information in this scenario. And so when we do all of those mathematic equations, we find that this group of cattle are going to be or bring in total receipts of about $15,120. All right, so we have two more pieces of information to calculate before we bring all of this information together. And so the fourth step of this problem is to figure out how many bulls we need and how many bulls we're going to sell every single year. And so we know that we're dealing with a 400 cow operation. And the information in the scenario said that the bull to cow ratio was 1 to 25. So one bull for every 25 cows. And so if we divide 25 or 400 by 25, that tells us that we need 16 bulls total in our bull battery. We were also given the information that the bull replacement rate was 25%. And so this makes the math pretty easy. 16 bulls times 25% means that we are culling or replacing 4 bulls every single year. And so that is going to be a line item in our income stream as well. So those four bulls that we're going to sell, they're going to average about 2,000 pounds a piece and be worth 80 cents a pound. And so their total receipts in the income stream is going to bring about $6,400. And finally, the last piece of information that we need before we can calculate the income stream, it has to do with our cull cows. So step number 5 is to figure out how many cull cows we have and what their total income will be. And so the scenario told us that the calving rate for the cows is 85%. So if we take that into consideration, then we know that out of that 400 head of cows, only 85% of them are going to wean a calf. And so that means that we only have 340 calves on the ground. And so of those 400 cows, if 340 of them have a calf, that leaves us with 60 cows that are not going to wean a calf and need to be culled. So then we can take that information and bring in how much they weigh. So in this scenario, it said that they weighed about 1,225 pounds and were worth 68 cents a pound, making that income stream about $49,980. And so a pretty significant amount. And cull cows are definitely a piece of the income stream for a cow-calf operation. That's why it's important. One of the reasons why it's important to make sure that you cull your open cows. It helps keep you in the black. All right, so our next to last step is to really bring all of this information together. And one of the ways that I like to do this is to use a table and build the table as I go. And so I always start out by listing the animal group over here on the left-hand side, the number of individuals that are going to be marketed within that group, their weight as given in the scenario, price is given in the scenario, and then here I just actually put the full equations in for you, and these are just copied from the individual slides from the beginning of this lecture and the previous lecture. And so you can see that we've got between all 5 income streams, we've got a grand total of receipts for the operation of $301,775. And so before everybody goes out and says they want to be a cow-calf producer and starts buying cows and buying land, we have to really bring this back to reality and look at the other side of the coin. And so this brings us to the last question in this example problem. And so if this problem actually asked you to look at and calculate the break-even sales per head. And so when we think of the sales per cow, that is going to be calculated as the total receipts of the entire operation. So the 301,000 that was on the previous slide, divided by the number of the cows in the herd. And so in this example, we know that our income total receipts was about $301,775, and we are a 400 cow calf operation. So divide 400 cows into 301,000, and we get approximately $754 per head. So what this tells us is that each cow needs to bring in $754 in order for this operation to break even, meaning that her calf has to clear at least $754. And so this becomes a little bit challenging and can be very deceiving because we've only calculated income. Okay, so we haven't brought in the other side of the equation, the expense part of this at all. And so because we've discussed cow cost really in depth in previous lectures, we have to put this in the context of income and expenses. So our expenses here is going to really be captured by cow cost. And so if the cow cost is high, like $600 a head, meaning that it takes $600 to support that cow for an entire year, then the profit margin gets really small very quickly. And so if we know that that cow's calf has to bring in $754.44, but her cost to maintain her an entire year is $600, that means that that profit per head is only $154.44 per head. And so when we put this in the context of gross annual income on a 400 head cow-calf operation, that means that we are grossing $61,775. Okay, so again, very tight profit margins. And so some things that you need to ask yourself as you are going into the cow-calf business, is this enough money to support an entire family? And in some areas of the country, it absolutely might be. In California, the cow costs are probably higher than $600 in a lot of areas, so it would be a very big challenge. And so that's why we talked about in the cow-calf lecture a couple weeks ago that the old number used to be a 300 head cow-calf operation could support a family. And now it really doesn't even look like it's 400. It's probably 500 or 600 head cow operation. So if you're running 400 cows, chances are somebody has a job in town. All right, so that is how you kind of break down the marketing scheme for a cow-calf operation with multiple sources of income. Okay, and so if you need a practice scenario, this is a good one to work through. It's a little bit different than the previous one. So feel free to use this as a practice scenario. This is also a practice scenario in your worksheets.